broadcast will start in 30 seconds. This broadcast will start in 15 seconds. This broadcast will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Voice of Stockton. For more information on The Voice of Stockton, go to thevoiceofstockton.org.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of TVOSJ, The Voice of San Joaquin, or its affiliates, management, and staff.
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Phone Booth No Comment episode 15 here at KBCC, the Voice of San Joaquin. Ed, I'm going to need you to do the numbers because I can never remember.
Will do. Also, KBCC 89.5 FM over in Tracy, California.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be right over in a second.
Yeah, I am Brian Rodriguez. Over there is Ed Heitman, who's sitting at the board. Parker could not be with us today because he's taking 5 advanced math classes and needs to work on that, which we completely understand, because math is scary to us.
Midterms are a very busy thing.
Yeah.
Very busy thing.
So surprising he's having a midterm in the middle of February.
That is interesting. I could have sworn midterms were usually like in the middle of classes, and I could have sworn classes had just started.
Yeah, his class almost started about a week before mine. I don't know. He goes to UOP, I go to Delta. Maybe they have some other system there.
Oh, yeah. That's true. That's true.
He did tell me that because, it's so early on in the class, the midterm doesn't actually have to cover that much. Of course, that makes the finals seem so much scarier.
Makes me wonder if maybe this is like a practice to the midterms or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm sure he'll explain it to us, or not, because we'll probably have forgotten by then.
Right. But for those of you who are first-time viewers of our program, The Phone Booth is a show completely dedicated to the world of pop culture, and No Comment is our more unscripted version of the show where we kind of just go on to a bit of a tangent. Mm-hmm. It's really nice to be able to come back and do an episode. We haven't been able to do one the past few Sundays.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, after this one, we might be taking a bit of a break for doing the broadcast, so I'm glad that we're actually here to get this done. Mm-hmm. Now, it sucks. We were supposed to have an interview today. But I'm just going to have to reschedule it with him. Next time we get a chance to do another No Comment, we actually had an interview lined up with the head of Scattered Comics himself, Jason Doobie. I actually had a chance to interview him a few times before in the past, and he's getting ready to come out with a new comic book series called Genesis. And I was going to try and have him do like a phone call or a video call, but apparently when we had messaged him, he had just woken up and he was not prepared to do an interview, I suppose.
Yeah, some wires got crossed. It happens.
It happens.
But we would love to interview him later on when we're back.
Oh yeah, definitely. And he seemed very excited for us to interview him when we get a chance to, so we're definitely looking forward to that.
Yep.
In the meantime, we had a couple of other things we were going to talk about. I actually wanted to give a movie review. Now, I'm kind of waiting for an episode of No Comment with Parker here, so me and him can both go into 1917, because we had a chance to watch it, and I would actually really like to hear his feedback bounce off of mine when we talk about the movie and everything. However, I do have one movie that I recently got to watch that came out in theaters and everything. Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
Yep.
No matter how many times I say it, it never sounds shorter.
Just say Birds of Prey. It's a somehow less accurate title, but it is shorter.
Yeah. Now, the main cast that we have, of course, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinzel, a.k.a. Harley Quinn. We have Ewan McGregor as Roman Sionis, a.k.a. Black Mask. We have Journey Smollett-Bell as Dinah Lance, a.k.a. Black Canary. We have Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Helena Bertinelli, a.k.a. Huntress. Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya, and Ella J. Basco as Cassandra Cain.
So, one question I've had, does Renee Montoya ever become the question?
No.
Okay.
But she does, near the end, retire from the GCPD to kind of focus intently on the birds of prey and everything.
So they're setting it up so she could become the Question. For those of you that don't know, in the comics, Renee Montoya was a Gotham City detective. However, she eventually became the second version of the Question.
Yes.
Who's a sometimes supernatural, very inquisitive crime fighter with no face.
Yeah.
Creepy.
When it comes to the list of detectives, I have Batman up there at the top, but Question is definitely like a close second below him usually.
Yeah.
So I'll go over a bit of the plot. Now there is some spoilers, but I'm not telling like the entire plot or anything like that. So this movie takes place some period of time after Suicide Squad.
Okay, so it is in continuity with the DCEU.
Yes, because there's one clip where like she's getting over the Joker and she's thinking about like the flashbacks when she fell into the chemical vat, and they use the clips from Suicide Squad. And there's even one shot where we see the Joker from the behind, and it's the Jared Leto Joker.
Huh.
You know, but that is actually the only time we see the Joker in the entire movie.
Now, I have heard that you never actually see his face.
Yeah, you never see his face. You see the back of his head, but like the only reason why he's even in the shot is because it's the one where like he pulls Harley out of the acid and you see it like fall off of her face and everything.
Yeah.
You know? And that's like the only time we see him. There's like a drawing of the Joker's face in Harley's room, but that's just for her to throw knives at and everything.
Yeah, that's weird because it's a sequel to what is the name of the...
Suicide Squad was the original. Suicide Squad's the reboot.
Which will also have Margot Robbie in it as Harley Quinn. You know what? I'm giving up on trying to make an actual timeline out of it.
I'm actually using Harley Quinn as an excuse for the Suicide Squad. I'm just going to assume that she was crazy and probably had a different mental projection of everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to say she's just essentially the Deadpool, so that could be, I mean, it could be in, continuity with all the other ones, but if it isn't, it also makes perfect sense somehow.
Oh, yeah. When I did watch this movie, I actually did get a lot of elements of Deadpool. She even does, like, the stop the story in mid-sentence to, like, give a narration, and then it rewinds to, like, show someone's origin story and whatnot.
Now, would you say it goes so far as to sort of be a Deadpool ripoff? Because
no.
Okay, because Suicide Squad had some elements of, they were very obviously trying to rip off Guardians of the Galaxy, mainly with all the music.
Oh, yeah. What I really felt, it felt more like it was a movie where Harley Quinn actually had more to do for her to actually be Harley Quinn. Because that was my problem with the Suicide Squad. Great performance, barely had any lines to say, and she didn't really get to do much, But in this one, it's like, well, you watch it and go, this reminds me so much of Deadpool and everything. It doesn't feel like it's a cookie cutter, like shot-for-shot remake or nothing. Mm-hmm. So the plot, basically, it's some period of time after Suicide Squad, and it takes place right with like Harley narrating that she and the Joker had just broken up and everything. She even makes it official by driving a truck into the Ace Chemical Vats factory and blowing the whole thing up and everything to make it official to all of Gotham City. However, what she doesn't realize is that now that she's no longer dating the Joker, she's no longer untouchable in Gotham City. And now, all of a sudden, everybody wants to try and kill Harley Quinn.
Because she's probably tried to kill, or successfully killed quite a few people.
Oh, there's like a running gag throughout the movie where, like, when you see somebody who's trying to kill her, like, the screen will pause and it'll list their name, and below it, it'll list the grievance. And, like, it'll say, like, what she did to them. Like, one, like, she busted, like, someone's kneecaps. She dared somebody to tattoo, like, a clown face onto somebody's face.
Oh, no.
There's one where it's, like, this guy's shooting at her, and the name is just a shrug emoji, and the grievance was, like, a no cross over an eggplant emoji.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's so many grievances that people have with her. Like, it's a never-ending list. Mm-hmm. But the main bad guy is Roman Sionis, played by Ewan McGregor, also known as the Black Mask. And I do gotta say, he does a pretty good job portraying the character the way he was in the comic books and everything.
Yeah, Black Mask has always been, I thought, one of the more... just boring Batman villains. He's always seemed like one without... I mean, yeah, he has the Black Mask on, but he's always just been a mobster. He's never been like, the crazy mobster, or the mobster that feeds people to penguins, or...
Well, I always did see him as, like, a crazy mobster. He was never, like, crazy for a purpose, it felt like. Like when you have like Penguin and Joker and other characters, they're crazy as heck, but they usually have like some reason behind it. But as far as I know, Roman Sionis is just this guy who didn't get his family's inheritance to the pier and everything, and he's lashing out on people, and he happens to be a sadist while also being like this neat freak rich guy or whatever, you know. But I think Birds of Prey was the best movie to have Black Mask in it, because he has potential in the comics, but only when you set him up against street-level superheroes.
Yeah.
You know? Like, pitting him up against Batman, sometimes it's fun, but you know Batman's got some gadget he'll pull out of nowhere to stop it. But if you pit him up against something like the Gotham City Sirens or the Birds of Prey, suddenly he's actually more of a big deal than he usually is.
I think Black Mask's best story was in Under the Hood, where Jason Todd comes back to life as Red Hood, and even there he was more of a third party between Batman and Red Hood. He was there to, you know, have some conflict, but even then the story wasn't really about him.
Yeah, he's usually the character that you want to add in a Batman story if you want mobsters, but you're kind of tired of Falcone.
Yeah.
You know, that's when you start to put in Roman Sionis and everything.
He's like the bridge between, you know, actual Batman rogues gallery and, you know, the mob
staple DC mob villain, right? Now, I forgot to get the actor's name, but one character that I thought felt kind of different was Victor Zsasz.
Oh, Zsasz is in it.
Yeah, he is Black Mask's personal henchman.
Interesting.
Yeah, like his like right-hand man and everything. Mm-hmm. And he's different. He's more different than he is in the comic books. Like, you know, in the comic books, like, he's just, like, straight up 100% psycho, constantly talking about death, and he has, like, tally marks all over his body and everything.
Yeah.
They definitely toned down the scars. It's not like tally marks all over his face. It's like you see, like, 4 red scars going down his head, and then later on, when he's by Harley Quinn, he opens up his, like, jacket, and you start to see, like, the X's and the tally marks and stuff. But he wasn't really, like, this super psycho guy. It was just more like he was Black Mask's right-hand man. He was the one who tolerated him having his, like, rich kid temper tantrums. But he also, like, absolutely had no problem with killing people, like, at all, because it's Victor Zsasz.
Yeah, Victor Zsasz is... I don't know. He's not a bad character. I would say he's actually a pretty good character to pit Batman against, just because of how he's like Joker level.
Very unpredictable with his killing, yeah.
Because most villains, I mean, even if they're awful, they do have a line at some point.
Yeah.
Zsasz doesn't.
He does not, no. So I got the name Chris Messina played as Victor Zsasz. He was recently in the Mindy Project up to 2017. And he was also in a project called Sharp Objects. But yeah, he was the only character that felt like he was different. Like, he didn't feel like he fit the role.
Now, there is one character I want to talk about, and that's Cassandra Cain.
Yes.
From what I saw...
She's like the center of this movie.
So from what I saw from the trailer, she's very talkative. Like, speaks at all.
She's kind of talkative, but she's more like an orphan in New York that's not going to talk to everybody.
Yeah, and see, that's still a big departure from her character, because in the comics, Cassandra Cain is the daughter of David Cain and Lady Shiva, 2 of the deadliest assassins in the DC universe. They're like at Deathstroke.
Yeah, no, in Birds of Prey, I believe she's an orphan. Like, she's got abusive foster parents, but we don't see the parents. Like, we only see Cassandra Cain.
Yeah, and one of her things is that her father never taught her how to speak. He forbade her from ever learning how to speak. She had to learn to read body language. And she does it perfectly, to the point where she can, you know, look across the room, see if you're sitting still, and still tell what you're about to do.
Oh, wow.
Which makes her a great assassin and then Batgirl. But, yeah, she doesn't speak, and in fact, her learning to speak is one of her, you know, character arcs, as you know.
Yeah. But yeah, in this movie, she definitely talks more. She is different than her comic book counterpart. Like, one of the few ones, like, from Victor Zsasz, where it's like, yeah, this one's more of a reboot.
Which makes me question, why use Cassandra Cain at all, if you're just going to completely change the character?
That's Birds of Prey, you know.
But, again, Cassandra Cain's never really had a huge tie to the Birds of Prey. I mean, she was Batgirl, and she'd go on adventures with them in the comics, but she was never...
Well, you see, with this Birds of Prey, it doesn't seem like they're setting her up to be a Batgirl. She's actually set up to be, like, Harley Quinn's, like, apprentice.
And see, they're making so many changes to this character and their path, it makes you think, why not just use a different character?
It beats me. But I mean,
sorry, that's just a personal pet peeve.
Oh no, I don't blame you.
Because I like Cassandra Cain's character in the comics. I think she is easily one of the best Batgirls. Of course, there have only really been 3 in continuity? 3.
Right. But anyways, so eventually she bumps into Roman Sionis, who wants to kill her because apparently she might know somebody who stole the Bertinelli diamond.
Oh, the Bertinellis are in this.
Yeah, well, they're dead, but apparently the people that Black Mask hired killed the Bertinellis to try and get their hands on the Bertinelli diamond, and inside the diamond is supposed to have like the codes to their entire bank accounts and their vast fortune and everything.
Seems like a stupid place to hide those things.
It's a MacGuffin, basically.
Yeah, I know, but it seems like there are better places to hide your banking codes than in a diamond.
I know, and it's a big diamond too. It's not like a teeny tiny little one. It's like a rock.
Yeah.
You know. But anyways, Black Canary, she manages to get her hands on... Her and Victor Zsasz get their hands on the diamond and everything. And at one point in time, Cassandra Cain, like, pickpockets them and takes the diamond. Mm-hmm. So... I'm sorry, I'm on a bit of a tangent here. So Black Mask gives Harley Quinn an option. Either go find Cassandra Cain and get the diamond, or he's just going to kill her right then and there. And while she goes off to find Cassandra Cain, he doesn't tell her that he also sets a $500,000 bounty on Cassandra Cain. Because all they know is that she took the diamond, but it turns out she actually ate the diamonds. That way, no one would be able to get it. So she herself becomes a MacGuffin and everything. Mm-hmm. So Harley Quinn's trying to find Cassandra Cain. Black Canary is working with Renee Montoya, kind of off the case or whatever, because if they find Cassandra Cain, they can link Sionis to all the crimes he's been doing and everything. While at the same time, Black Mask and Victor Zsasz is being hunted down by the Huntress. Oh. Yeah, because she, as I said earlier, she's Helena Bertinelli, the only one who survived the assassination of her entire family. Mm-hmm. And one of the hitmen decided to take her under his wing and train her in the arts of assassination and everything. You know, but there is a funny little gag where like she's all serious with the crossbow, but there's a part where, like she's trying to rehearse in the mirror like her lines and everything, like "Do you know who I am?" and everything. But yeah, it was cool. But like eventually they all meet up with each other near like this old amusement park, the Booby Trap or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those moments where it's like, yeah, Black Mask is trying to kill all of us. We need to work together if we want to try and survive and everything. So they do team up and everything and take on a lot of Sionis' henchmen. And surprisingly enough, Black Canary didn't use her canary cry until the very end of the movie. And
I was curious about that because they sort of hinted at it in a trailer by having like a glass of water do the Jurassic Park wobble type thing.
And it did shatter too.
Oh.
Yeah, because like when they introduced her, like she's singing and everything, and she's got like really high pitch, like just all over the place. Mm-hmm. You know, but she uses her canary cry for them to like get through this horde of bad guys, and Harley Quinn starts chasing them through the streets because Black Mask is taken off with Cassandra Cain in like one of the cars and whatnot. And they eventually get over to this old abandoned pier. I forget what the name of it was exactly, but it was the one that Sionis' parents owned and everything. Mm-hmm. And there's like this huge confrontation in the mist and fog and whatnot. You know, he's giving her like the mental trip, like, you need me now that the Joker's gone and whatnot. But she manages to get the surprise on him. She almost gets to shoot him in the head, but like he did one of those tricky things where he's like standing behind a statue, so the statue's head blew up and everything. You know, and there's like a final confrontation, but it turns out that Cassandra Cain at some point in time earlier in the movie had grenades, and she put them in his pockets. So we actually got to see them push him off the dock, and we got to see Ewan McGregor just blow up in the midair before it hits the water.
On the one hand, I'm sad they can't get Ewan McGregor back for more movies. On the other hand, Black Mask is really one of the most disposable villains.
Yeah, but like now that he's gone, Harley Quinn's basically emancipated, and she can do whatever she wants. And the other three decide to stick together to form the Birds of Prey and everything.
So Harley is not a part of the Birds of Prey at the end?
No.
Okay.
It's them working together, and then after they work together and she takes off, they decide to form it. You know, so it's not necessarily like an origin story for the Birds of Prey. Actually, it's an interesting point. Whenever I would watch the trailers for this movie on TV, they didn't used to say Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation. They used to say Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey. Mm-hmm. And that sounds way more accurate to me with this movie. This wasn't so much like a movie that's supposed to be about Birds of Prey, but Harley Quinn's in it. It's more like this is a movie about Harley Quinn, but it also introduces you to the Birds of Prey forming.
Yeah, but it's a Birds of Prey movie. It's Birds of Prey, and then the tag, and then like the, you know.
I know. Well, it's just that's them flipping the script, I guess, in a way. I do admit they would have just said outright I wish they'd retitled it Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey, because that would be way more accurate to what this movie actually is.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like there should have been a second movie. It feels like there should have been a Birds of Prey movie, and then this was the Harley Quinn movie that had the Birds of Prey in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the interesting thing, too, because it feels like this movie wasn't established to be like, this is the Birds of Prey movie and everything, you know? Because it felt like they were going to, like, the movie would set them up, and then maybe there's going to be some kind of continuation later on, specifically for the team and everything.
Yeah, but it's the Birds of Prey.
I know. It confuses me, too. I think what it was that they wanted to take the easy route, so they decided to ride off of Suicide Squad and just be like, yeah, so we'll just start this with her being here, we can wrap up her arc, and then we can have the Birds of Prey go and do their thing.
It's probably these executives weren't confident they could sell a Birds of Prey movie, but they knew Harley Quinn was popular, or they've decided that Harley Quinn will be popular, whether we want it or not.
For all we know, we're not really sure if this will have a connection to the Suicide Squad, because unlike Suicide Squad, in Birds of Prey, we didn't see any of the big Justice League members. There was like no big superhero cameo in there or anything. It was
no Batman?
No Batman. It was
interesting.
No Batman, no Wonder Woman, no Flash, no Aquaman, no nothing. Though there was an Easter egg in the police station where like there's a wanted poster by the door of Captain Boomerang. Yeah, like she's talking to the guys, and I almost missed it. Like she looks at the poster and goes, "I know that guy," and then I looked at it, and it's Captain Boomerang from Suicide Squad.
Interesting, because even Shazam, even when they couldn't get Henry Cavill back, they had a Superman cameo at the very end.
Yeah, it feels like I don't know if Birds of Prey will really connect to the big DCEU, especially because Suicide Squad is getting a new coat of paint and everything, and some of the actors and actresses might return and whatnot. But I feel like they're not sure if it'll connect to the reboot, so they're kind of playing it safe by not having a major cameo or anything. You know, but I don't know if they did like a post-credits scene or anything, so I'm not entirely sure.
I have actually heard about that. They didn't do a post-credits scene, but they had a voiceover thing, a Ferris Bueller style voiceover at the end, where she makes fun of people for staying to the end, which I'll point out Deadpool also did that. Except it was the full scene.
Well,
and then she implied Batman does something that starts with an F, which makes me think it's, Batman gets intimate.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not surprised by that either, because it seems like nowadays Harley Quinn is basically the Deadpool of DC Comics nowadays.
Yeah. It is interesting how much her character has shifted from, in the late 90s and the 2000s, she was the Joker's girlfriend. But now for the last 10 years, they've really positioned her so now she's known as the Joker's ex-girlfriend and, gone off to do her own things. She's not really, defined by being the Joker's henchman. She's defined by, what she's doing after.
And it honestly feels like she's seen less and less nowadays as the Joker's ex-girlfriend and more as just Harley Quinn. Like she's had, like, even though there's still that bit lingering in the air for people who don't commonly read comic books, but it's becoming more and more, it's like we're not really seeing her and thinking of like, oh, I wonder what the Joker's doing right now or anything. We're just watching her have her own adventures, and she's been meeting enough people that she's finally breaking away from that. I'm really glad that she is.
Yeah, and it's... And it's, you notice a push in this in DC's media, like the Harley Quinn animated series is, the first episode she breaks up with the Joker, and the rest of the show is her, putting together her own crew and becoming her own villain. And then you've got, this one that's literally about her, in the aftermath of her breakup with the Joker. It seems DC is very much trying to distance her from, the Joker beyond, the origin.
One thing I do think was really good about this movie that it did so much better than Suicide Squad was that the entire movie actually had color in it.
Oh, that's nice.
Because with Suicide Squad, it was colorful as heck for the first 20-30 minutes, and then the rest was bleak and gray and everything.
You'll notice it was colorful in all the shots that were in the trailer.
Right.
And then after that it was, even in the trailer they didn't have a ton of colorful shots.
Yeah. But with this one, there was lots of vibrant colors. Vibrant neon reds and blues and golds and...
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so much. There's one scene where she's she's raiding a police station, and she's got the glitter bombs and the smoke grenades and everything. And even just the color from the smoke and the dye and the slow-mo shots of someone getting hit by glitter is just full of color.
I'm so glad. And, well, I love the Christopher Nolan Batman movies.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so glad that the movies are finally learning that they can move past this, dark and gritty and washed out palette, because we've got things like, Thor Ragnarok and, Harley Quinn and Shazam, and even to a certain extent, Endgame was more colorful than previous Marvel movies. Because the Captain America movies, while good, they were
dark.
Yeah, they were very washed out.
Yeah. I'm willing to give the Captain America movies some slack, though, because the Captain America movies are usually more of a spy flick, and usually spy flicks are just dark in a natural sense.
And I will give them that, but even as the MCU moved on, they felt kind of out of place, because, like, Spider-Man, that's a colorful movie, especially Far From Home.
Once Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok hit Marvel, all of a sudden it's like all these superhero movies stopped trying to be the dark, gritty Batman.
It's like they realized, oh, right, we're based on comics, those things that have colors in them.
Yeah, and I noticed that change of tone and color kind of start with, like, Shazam and Aquaman and everything. Like, it's no longer dark and gritty. And this one is, like, it's not edgy at all. Mm-hmm. Like, it has its suspense moments, but it's more like an action-adventure flick, you know? And the fight scenes are really good, too. Like, usually with a superhero movie, when they get into the fight scenes, the camera will go back and forth all over the place, you know? And it's kind of hard to see, like, what exactly they did. But in Birds of Prey, all of the fight scenes are on a wide shot, where, like, you see every single detail and action that happens and everything.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and we get to see Harley Quinn use a hammer. We get to see her use a baseball bat. There's even a scene where, like, they go to the old hideout and we see all of Harley Quinn's prior outfits and everything from the different comic variants and everything.
That is one thing I'll give the Suicide Squad, is I liked that they had her in, like, the original Batman the Animated Series outfit.
Oh, yeah.
Even if it was just briefly.
She even made a cameo in that outfit at the very beginning of Birds of Prey, because it opens up with her narration of her origin story leading all the way up to it and everything. But yeah, I mean, I thought that the color was pretty good. The pacing was pretty good too. It never felt like it was dragging along at all for me. You know, it is a bit of a. One of my complaints, though, is that it does kind of feel like it screeches to a halt sometimes. Like, things are getting really intense and we have to stop all of a sudden because we have to go back to this quick little origin story. And it'll go on for like 10, 15 minutes sometimes. And then we snap right back into the action and everything. It's like, oh, yeah, this was happening. I totally forgot about that. You know? And also, there is one dementia moment that she has in Birds of Prey, like how in Suicide Squad, whenever she was hanging out with the Joker, like this glossy after effect and everything. Mm-hmm. And in Suicide Squad, they did that like way too long. For her, it's like she's being interrogated by Black Mask, and he hits her, and she kind of like hallucinates out of it. And that was the scene that we see in the trailers where she's Marilyn Monroe, and she's singing about diamonds and everything. Oh. And Ewan McGregor's on the stage in his Black Mask outfit, and they're dancing around, and then all of a sudden she gets like smacked or whatever, and she snaps back out of it. That's like the only dementia moment we ever get out of it, which I'm glad, because I was really afraid they're going to ramp up the whole OMG, she's so crazy kind of thing. Yeah. You know, like they actually treated it with respect. Like, it's acknowledged that she's done these crazy things, but she also has these moments where like she reminds people, hey, I used to be a psychiatrist. You know, I can read you, and you don't want to be like me, because there's a point where like she explains everything that brought her up to where she is, and it's like, yeah, no, you don't want to be Harley Quinn. Yeah, and I do like that more depictions of her are dealing with that she was, you know, a trained psychiatrist, because that's also a thing in the Harley Quinn animated series where she has like a separate voice in her head that's just sane Harley. Yeah. That, you know, like psychoanalyzes her. Yeah, yeah. Yes, she's incredibly smart. She's a psychologist. Right, you know, and the movie actually brought up it pointed out the fact that a lot of the Joker's plans and whatnot wouldn't have been pulled off if Harley wasn't there behind the scenes doing all the intricate stuff. You know, but those were what I liked about it. I do admit I don't really have that many complaints for Birds of Prey. I do kind of wish that certain characters got a little bit more backstory. Like, Renee Montoya's backstory was well done. So was Black Canary. But the Huntress's was, like, the shortest out of them all. And it seems like hers is the most directly tied into the plot of the movie. Right. Which is odd. She is there frequently, you know, and it's not like her introduction is near the very end of the movie or nothing. But, like, it felt like everybody else has had the opportunity to actually be there, both in flashback and in present tense for a while. And before her backstory, Huntress is like, she shows up super quick, kills some people, takes off. And then she finally shows up and is like, oh yeah, I forgot to give you a backstory. And she describes it, and it's like, why did we have to wait so long for this? And hers just felt so much shorter than everybody else's. It does sound like they may have been trying to deal with
too many new characters.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, movies can work when they have a lot of characters. I mean, again, let's point to the MCU with the Avengers movies. They have a ton of characters, but all those characters were set up in different movies beforehand.
Their own introductions.
Yeah, because this one they had to set up the Birds of Prey, Cassandra Cain, Sionis, probably Zaz, so that's...
Zaz didn't really get a backstory. He was just there.
So Sionis, so that's about 5 new characters they have to introduce there.
Yeah.
Plus, probably give time to Harley, because they need to develop her.
And that was the thing, too. It's like, it's clearly a Harley Quinn movie, but because it's Birds of Prey, they had to give enough screen time to the other birds and everything. And you could tell that there's that conflict. It works out well. It never feels like they're actually struggling to share the screen time between each other, but it just feels like Harley was more in the spotlight than she really should have been. Well, it is a Harley... I mean, like I said, while it was a Harley Quinn story and everything, I did want to see the Birds of Prey form. And at the very end, we do get to see them in their costumes and everything. Like, Huntress even has, like, the eye thing that she has with the retractable lenses. Yeah. So I thought that was good. The music choices were actually really good, too. None of it felt like you were just listening to the director's playlist or nothing. It actually felt like they picked proper songs for proper moments in the scenes.
Well, that's good, because ever since Guardians of the Galaxy, again, we keep going back to it.
It's an important film for the way films were made.
Yeah, it's like a lot of directors look at it and go, "Oh, music from the '80s, people love that. Let's put it in our films." Without actually looking at, like, James Gunn puts a lot of work into the awesome mixes for each movie.
Oh yeah. People like Edgar Wright and James Gunn and whatnot. They're all about. They love using music, but they have to use the right song for the right time. Quentin Tarantino is also a good example of this. He's very picky about his song selections in movies too. But I do got to give it to Birds of Prey. They actually had a really good soundtrack. I actually really did enjoy it. I believe the actress who played as Black Canary,
Journey Smollett-Bell. Yeah,
she did a cover of "This Is a Man's World" when they gave her introduction and everything. Spot on. I love the whole performance and everything. But yeah, I mean, all in all, if I were to give the movie a rating, I would have to give it a 7.5 or a solid 8.
Okay.
Like, when it comes to superhero movies, it's not a disappointment. I mean, like, if you're like one of those people who's a real stickler for details in the comic books, there might be parts where it's like, that's not right, or I kind of wish they did this instead. But if you're a person who just genuinely enjoys a good superhero movie or an anti-hero movie, it's a good one. If you're a fan of Deadpool, it's definitely a good movie for you as well.
Sounds like on its own it's a good movie, and when you compare it to the rest of DC's output, it's gotten better, but it does seem like it's, a standout among of being good.
It's a standout, yeah, but it definitely feels like it belongs on that list of genuinely good DC movies.
So we've got 4 now.
And as soon as Wonder Woman 1984 comes out, we'll have 5, I'm hoping, because that one looks pretty good too.
Yeah, let's see this.
Because I know we got Aquaman, we got Shazam, we got Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. What was the other one?
The original Wonder Woman.
That's right.
Which was really the first good DC movie in
a while.
Yeah, it was. I think
that one came after Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, let's see. But I'd say it's the last really good DC movie since The Dark Knight, because even The Dark Knight Rises had...
Yeah, The Dark Knight Rises felt like it had potential, but it was really trying to ride off the coattails of The Dark Knight.
So between The Dark Knight in 2008 and Wonder Woman 2017, we had Dark Knight Rises, we had Green Lantern, we had Man of Steel, we had Batman v Superman, we had Suicide Squad.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm depressed now.
Well, I mean, we've always kind of acknowledged that Marvel kind of handles their universe better than DC at the moment. But it's nice to see that they did pretty good with Harley Quinn in this. It didn't feel like they were exploiting her to have that crazy character. It's like she really did have a good character arc.
Yeah, and that... She was kind of the crazy character in Suicide Squad. I mean, they didn't go full-blown with it, but she was there to be, wacky and foil to Will Smith.
Yeah, and in this one, she still has her crazy moments, but she actually has a personality behind that craziness. Like, she's still a person, but she has a weirder sense of humor than everybody else. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Birds of Prey. I would definitely give that a 7.5 or a solid 8 out of 10. we have a little bit of extra time, so I actually wanted to talk about the Oscars. Now, we don't usually talk about awards here on the show. We do sometimes, but it's not very often.
Last time we talked about it was we mentioned that Into the Spider-Verse won last year's Oscar for Best Animated Film.
Yeah, we're not really much of awards show people here on the phone booth.
Because they're just self-congratulatory things. It's it's actors voting on who their favorite actor is, and it's just exhausting at a certain point.
The main benefit that I usually get out of it is just knowing that a movie that I really liked won an award for something, I guess. But that's usually why I tune into the awards. But yeah, the 92nd Academy Awards of this year are actually happening today, February 9th. And we wanted to go over some of the nominees. We're not going over all the nominees because that would take way too long.
There are so many categories.
So we're going to go with five simple ones. We're going to go with actor in a leading and supporting role. We're going to go with actress in a leading and supporting role. And then we're going to go for the Best Picture nomination. And then if we were able to see any of the movies that are in these categories, we'll try and give our predictions as to who we think might actually win the award.
I'm going to warn you, I've probably seen none of these movies, so it's going to be a popularity contest with me, like it isn't already.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, at the same time, while we might not have watched a lot of these movies, we've covered some of them usually on our show. So we might recognize some people, so we have at least the trailers to go off of.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start off with actor in a leading role. The nominees are Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes.
Haven't seen any of them.
Yeah. Now, I know a lot of people are going to want to immediately go for Joaquin Phoenix's Joker because it is a pretty good movie. I actually finally had a chance to watch it. Very reminiscent of Scorsese films and everything. But I admit I myself kind of am leaning more towards Leonardo DiCaprio because he did a really good job in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, especially just having to play the role of the broken actor who was once in their heyday, a really great actor, but now they're kind of facing the end of their times and whatnot. But he did pretty good. His chemistry with his co-star Brad Pitt was really good. So I definitely think that he might get the award, but he is definitely going to have to compete with Joaquin Phoenix in order to get that done.
Yeah, I'm less invested in Leo getting the Oscar because he finally got his for The Revenant. So let's just, you know what? He finally got one. Now we can move on.
I forgot it was a running gag that he hadn't gotten an Oscar. He seems like the guy who has all the awards.
It took the movie where he ate a raw fish, and he method acted so hard in the wilderness. Apparently, I think at one point he got hypothermia.
Whew.
Which it's he was genuinely willing to die for this award.
For an Oscar.
So please just give it to him. If nothing else, even if it wasn't the best performance, just save his life.
Exactly. He's being a madman for this. Oh man. Okay, so actor in a supporting role. We have for the nominees Tom Hanks in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Joe Pesci for The Irishman, and Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Haven't seen any of them.
I got a chance to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I actually, just yesterday, actually had a chance to watch The Irishman when I was at the house and everything. Really good movie. I mean, it's your typical Scorsese gangster flick. I mean, if you've seen one like Goodfellas or whatnot, you kind of have the idea of what the formula is, really. But I do have to admit that Joe Pesci did a really good performance in The Irishman. I did not like Al Pacino's performance in that movie. Normally, he's really good. But this is one of those movies where it was Robert De Niro and Al Pacino really did not have that chemistry on screen together. They were talking and they were both they're usually the best movies that I've seen them in where it involves mobsters are usually the ones where they're the second-hand man and they're retelling the story of the main guy that they're always around. But with The Irishman, it's they're both kind of relying on each other, and there's it felt I don't know, it felt like there was no control during their dialogue. Nobody was really in charge of the conversation or anything.
Yeah. I think I'm split. I either want to be Tom Hanks because from what I could see of the trailers for It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, he nailed the rod.
And the voice and everything.
Or Joe Pesci because I liked My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah.
completely different movie, but it's one I've seen.
Joe Pesci's a good actor.
I don't see a lot of movies, I'm realizing.
Yeah, and Brad Pitt was pretty good in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Definitely my second favorite Brad Pitt film. The first one would probably have to be Fight Club because he did a good job as Tyler Durden. But yeah, I mean, at the end though, it didn't feel like award-worthy performance. If it is an award-worthy performance, it's not an Oscar-worthy performance. Joe Pesci's performance in The Irishman, now that's more of an Oscar-worthy performance. So
honestly, until it was announced he was in The Irishman, I kind of thought he was dead. So it's good to know Joe Pesci's not dead.
I heard a lot of people mention that with The Irishman. Like, they see a lot of people that they thought weren't really around no more, or at least not acting anymore, and all of a sudden they're just here.
It's because Joe Pesci just feels like he disappeared like 10 years ago completely.
It feels like he can just disappear whenever he wants to disappear, and then just come back when he wants to come back.
Where did you go, Joe Pesci? And please stay. We missed you.
Where on earth is Joe Pesci? All right, now let's go to actress in a leading role. We have Cynthia Erivo in Harriet. We have Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story. We have Saoirse Ronan in Little Women. Saoirse Ronan, thank you. Charlize Theron in Bombshell. And Renee Zellweger in Judy. I didn't really get a chance to watch any of those ones, unfortunately.
I haven't even heard of half of those, but let's go with Saoirse Ronan because I liked her on SNL.
Oh, yeah. She was on SNL, wasn't she?
Yes, where she had her entire monologue was a song about how to pronounce her name.
Oh, my. That's good. I like that. I like Cynthia Erivo as an actress. She was really good in Bad Times at the El Royale. But I didn't get a chance to see her in Harriet, only the trailers. And she looked good, but I didn't get much of a performance from what I got to see, unfortunately.
Kind of want to watch Marriage Story now, because both Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson got nominated for Best Leads for it.
Yeah, it's been sitting on Netflix for a while. I keep seeing it. I just haven't really had much of a motivation to check it out yet until now.
It's become so hard for me to take Adam Driver seriously. I'm sorry. It's this. I know we shouldn't judge him on one role, but Kylo Ren just... It's hard to take him seriously as anything.
I don't blame you for that. I know him only for 2 roles. I know him as Kylo Ren in the Star Wars series, but I also know him as the brother in Logan Lucky from the creator of the Oceans franchise.
Honestly, I think his best portrayal of Kylo Ren was, in fact, in the SNL Undercover Boss parodies.
I love those ones. But yeah, Charlize Theron, she's also a really good actress. I liked her. I liked her in Atomic Blonde.
Which movie was she nominated for?
Bombshell. We
Bombshell.
talked about the trailer on Phonebooth.
Oh right, yes, that's the Megyn Kelly biopic. I
think so. I think so. Yeah. Anyways, actress in a supporting role, we have Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell. We have Laura Dern for Marriage Story.
Wow, Laura Dern was in that too.
We have Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit. We have Florence Pugh for Little Women. And we have Margot Robbie for Bombshell.
Wait, was Scarlett Johansson in both categories for actress?
Yeah.
Really?
She's in leading role for Marriage Story, and she's in supporting role for Jojo Rabbit.
Huh. It's a good year to be her, even if she doesn't win.
Yeah, and I believe Marriage Story might be in here as well. But yeah, as for actress in a supporting role, I'm afraid I didn't really get to see much of most of these movies. But from what I've seen of Jojo Rabbit, Scarlett Johansson looked like she was doing a really good performance. So I might have to give my vote over to Scarlett for that one.
I don't know. I do love Laura Dern.
She is a good actress. Anyways, we'll do an extra one. Let's do a animated feature film.
Yes.
Yeah. The nominees are How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, I Lost My Body. Haven't heard of that one.
Yeah.
Klaus. Haven't heard of that one either. Missing Link. I did recall seeing that one. It's a claymated one.
Yeah, it's. I think it was Aardman.
I think so. Yeah. And Toy Story 4.
I've heard of only half of those. I've seen none of them, and I refuse to give it to Toy Story 4 because the series should have ended at 3.
It really should have ended at 3. You're right about that.
So
I have to give it to How to Train Your Dragon. because the cinematography, from what I've seen in clips, looks really good. Plus, like Toy Story 4, it's also a movie that's wrapping up an entire franchise, and I heard it did a good job of wrapping up the franchise.
Yeah, I actually do know the ending, and it does just end the franchise.
Yeah, and that's something you don't get to see in movies nowadays. They want to end it, but they also want to give that teeny tiny little cliffhanger in case they want to reboot it in Hollywood.
Especially when DreamWorks had that sort of insane period when they said there were going to be 6 Shrek movies and 6 Kung Fu Panda movies.
I remember
8
that.
How to Train Your Dragon movies, and it seems like whoever was saying that got like thrown in the sack and thrown in the river, and now they've. What are the other 3? The 3 we didn't know. You said Klaus.
Klaus, I Lost My Body, and Missing Link.
See, Klaus and I Lost My Body. They sound like they're more indie films, and I don't want to vote against them because every year in the animated category, there's some little indie film that everyone swears is the greatest thing ever, but it doesn't win because it loses to, the more popular studio films like How to Train Your Dragon.
Usually we get those kind of films around like Sundance and Toronto film festivals.
I don't want to vote against it, but I can't vote for it because I've never heard of it before. And it's, you know what? I
have to give it to How to Train Your Dragon.
I need to see more movies, I'm learning.
You know what? I've been noticing that too. I'm missing out on a lot of movies, not only modern movies, but also old school movies.
Yeah, it's because technically theaters are expensive, and by the time they come out, there are 8 million different streaming services now, so they don't just come out on Netflix. They come out on, this one's on HBO, this one's on Hulu or something, this one's on Amazon Prime, this one's on Amazon, but it's not in Prime, so you have to buy it anyway, and I just want to watch movies. I want to like these movies. Stop making it so difficult.
Oh, man. Okay, so the big one, Best Picture. Mm-hmm. Okay, so our nominees are Ford versus Ferrari.
I've heard that's pretty good.
The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite.
Now, I haven't seen Parasite, but I want to. It's interesting that Parasite, 1917, and Ford v. Ferrari, they're all in Best Picture, but none of them got actor noms, as far as I remember.
As far as I'm aware of, they might have gotten awards in other categories.
Because every other one got at least one, actor nomination. But
1917 apparently got a nomination for original score. Nominees for that being Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it's hard to not nominate John Williams. Anyway, I have seen none of these films, and I've wanted to see all of them. Joker, Parasite, Ford v. Ferrari, 1917, not so much. Little Women, I'm torn on, because I want to, support female directors and female-led movies, but Little Women, it feels like it's been done to death, and it's always been so boring to me.
Now, Marriage Story, wasn't that like an adaptation of a book?
I don't know. I really don't know a lot about it, except
Little Women, I actually know. Now, Little Women was the one I was thinking of that's an adaptation.
I know very little about Marriage Story, other than Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver are married, and it gave, Adam Driver had a bunch of faces that were prime meme material at the time.
Oh, nice. But I've seen a few of these. I got to see The Irishman. I saw Joker. I saw 1917. I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Out of those 4, if I had to give one the Best Picture, I have to say 1917. Because Once Upon a Time in Hollywood had some good cinematography. Joker did a really good job with the mental projection kind of styling for some of the shots. And I mean, The Irishman, it's a Scorsese film, so of course cinematography and whatnot's pretty good. But just for technical prowess and just the intensity of the movie, I would have to give 1917 the nomination.
Yeah, and it's going to be another instance of a foreign film in Parasite being nominated but never winning because the Academy fears non-white people.
I honestly think it'd be cool if Parasite does get nominated. I've heard really good things about it. I hear a lot of people actually comparing it to Joker because both have a critique on society nowadays, I guess.
Wow. We live in a society.
We live in a society with societal norms.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
We have to socialize in this society.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let me see if there are any others that might catch our interest. Let's see. What about, so Best Director. Okay, so we have Martin Scorsese for The Irishman. We have Todd Phillips for Joker. We have Sam Mendes for 1917. We have Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And we have Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. So Parasite's actually getting a couple of nominations, it seems.
Yeah, I'm going with Bong Joon-ho or Sam Mendes because I don't like Tarantino or Scorsese, and Todd Phillips seems like kind of a jerk.
Yeah,
Let's go with it.
I have to go for Tarantino because that was the first director that I had a chance to watch the entire filmography of.
Yeah.
And I did like the directing style of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But the close run-ups would have to be Sam Mendes and Bong Joon-ho. I don't really care much for Martin Scorsese because he doesn't really have a directing style. There's so many movies where it's he'll have a certain style, like Taxi Driver, but then with The Irishman, it's a completely different style. He doesn't really have a formula that he follows.
And that can be good. I mean,
it can be good, but as for a nomination for Best Director, it's kind of hard to give it to somebody who doesn't really have that directing style.
Well, it's not a nomination for their directing style. It's for how they directed that individual film.
Okay.
Now, what do you think of the direction of The Irishman? Not like Scorsese in general, but how he directed The Irishman.
It's pretty good. It reminded me a lot of 80s and 90s movies. The old school 35mm movies, how they used to have their directing and editing and transitioning and everything.
Did it feel like The Godfather at all?
I haven't actually had a chance to see The Godfather. But it reminded me of Goodfellas in a way. It felt to me like just your average gangster flick, and that could be partially because Martin Scorsese is known for being the king of gangster flicks and everything. But it didn't feel like it was anything groundbreaking. It just felt like a nice movie to watch. If I had to go for groundbreaking directing, I have to give that to Sam Mendes because I got to see behind the scenes looks of 1917 and how he actually pulled off the constant entire shot in a movie thing. Because I'm a sucker for that. I still want to watch Birdman for that reason. And I gotta give that to Sam Mendes, I guess, for 1917.
And of course, now that I think about it, the nominees for Best Picture and Best Director are all, with the exception of Parasite and Bong Joon-ho, white guys.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yes, and
didn't Joaquin Phoenix actually recently make a comment about the Oscars and how it feels like it's predominantly white folks who get the awards and everything?
Yes, and there was a big campaign to get the director of Little Women. Oh God, what was her? 1 minute, I'm going to look up her name because I'm blanking on it right now. I'm blanking on a lot of names today.
I actually can find it here.
Let's see, Not Little Bighorn Master.
Amy Pascal.
Amy Pascal. What? Wait, Amy Pascal?
Amy Pascal was the director of Little Women.
Oh, okay.
No. She was the producer.
Yeah,
producer.
Because Amy Pascal is the producer for all the Spider-Man movies at Sony. I was like,
yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, no. Gosh, who?
Greta Gerwig.
Greta Gerwig. Okay.
I feel like I would have noticed if Amy Pascal directed this. Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, Greta Gerwig.
I believe, didn't she also... Yes, she also directed Lady Bird.
Oh, nice.
Which was also nominated a few years ago. I still haven't seen Shape of Water. I need to catch up on movies.
Me too. I've been noticing that more and more. Okay, so we have about 4 minutes. We'll do one more category, and for that it'll be cinematography. Okay, now that's just the way that the movie is shot, the way it looks on the screen.
This one's going to be hard to comment on because even trailers won't give you a great grasp on the cinematography of something unless you've seen it.
That's true.
I'm guessing 1917 is going to be in there because I've heard great things about cinema.
It actually is. Same nominees as usual. Only one is different that we haven't mentioned yet. So we have The Irishman. With Rodrigo Prieto, the cinematographer. We have Lawrence Sher for Joker. We have Jaron Blaschke for The Lighthouse.
Oh, The Lighthouse.
Yeah, we have Roger Deakins for 1917. And we have Robert Richardson for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I'm surprised The Lighthouse doesn't have more noms. It was all the buzz. I mean,
usually Studio A24 films get a lot of notice when it comes out.
I mean, it's Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe going crazy in a lighthouse in black and white. How do you not love that?
That's true. Gosh, I've got to see all of these except The Lighthouse, and I really want to give that award to The Lighthouse because from the clips that I actually did get to see of The Lighthouse, it looked so interesting. It was like watching one of those old school black and white Alfred Hitchcock movies where you would have the weird camera angles and the shading in the back and everything, just to have that really scary, creepy, intense feel to it when people were starting to go insane and everything.
Okay, but of the ones you have seen.
Of the ones I have seen, though, I mean, 1917 is definitely an admirable one. There's a certain scene where the soldier walks in front of a burning building and everything, and like you see, like they had to do some artificial lighting, but like you just see the flames just roar off of this building and everything. And while the soldier's standing there staring at it from the distance, like you see like a character come out to the side, and he's like a Nazi soldier is out to try and shoot him, and he doesn't notice it, but the audience sees it the whole time. And with 1917, there's all these subtle nods where it's like things will happen far off in the background. And if you catch it, you're going to be more up to speed on what's going on. But if you miss it, you're going to be shocked when it just comes out of left field and just ruins the journey for the soldiers.
So they do have a grasp on the Hitchcock suspense idea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're an expert with continuous shots, when you watch 1917, you might be able to spot so many cues that it goes from one scene to the next. But they know how to pull it off and make it actually look very eye-catching.
Yeah, very few continuous shots last more than 5 minutes, because imagine just completely choreographing so many actors, every move for 5 minutes.
And this was like an entire, like, almost 2-hour-long movie. I think more than 2 hours. And when I was seeing behind the scenes on like how they pulled off some shots, like they had a small model of like the entire journey that the soldier's going to go through, because it's from one outpost to the next outpost. And like they had to plan out how they're going to do shots when they're at certain locations. When he's by the abandoned city at night, there's scenes where like some people start firing flares. So the only time you see the soldier running is when the flares go over the sky and everything. And they actually had to put in like a fake light and went on and put it on wires and frames across a certain part of it. So you would like move the light over and they can see where the shadows cast, where certain buildings will actually get lit and everything. So like they really planned everything out intricately for it.
Yeah, and it was probably a huge fan. That's why one of the most famous examples of the, continuous shot with Aaron Sorkin and things like The West Wing is, it's typically just two actors walking towards the camera and talking for an extended time while some things happen in the background. It's very simple, and that's why he's able to do it so much. It's because continuous shots are just...
Yeah. And this one, there are moments where it is just two guys walking in front of each other and the continuous shot works, but like there'll be moments where it's like he's running from gunfire, a plane will come flying through, crashing through a barn, and someone happens to have all this go on, but still keep it going in a continuous where it doesn't feel like they had to freeze and transition to the next scene or anything.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so I guess I'll have to give the cinematography award over to Roger Deakins for that. He is a really good cinematographer, from what I gathered. So anyways, that was the end of today's episode of the Phone Booth No Comment here on TVOSJ, the voice of San Joaquin.
Like we said, we're going to be taking a brief hiatus, 1 or 2 weeks, just, so we can recharge our batteries.
When you do this so many times in a row, sometimes you just kind of need a break.
However, I'm hoping to, during the break, if big news comes up, I'm hoping to talk about it on our Facebook page.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're not, go ahead and, go like or follow or whatever it is you do on Facebook to the Phone Booth Facebook page. Yeah,
you like and follow our page, and if we have any new posts or if we want to do like quick little video updates or anything, you'll be notified immediately whenever we post stuff.
I know we've said so many times we're going to start being more active on there, but hopefully this one's the one that actually happens.
This is the one that does it, you know, and if anything, we might just eventually need to find someone to help us out with keeping everything up to date on the page. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ed Heitman. Joining me in the studio, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Brian Rodriguez. Be sure to tune in every Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 2 here on TVOSJ and soon to be KBCC 89.5 FM over at Tracy, where we cover all things pop culture related. Anything from movies to video games to TV shows to comic books, you name it, and we'll do our very best to cover it. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful afternoon.
You're not talking into a mic.
Oh, I'm echo.
Oh, okay.
It's an echo.
Okay.
But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, please have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. See you at the next episode.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Hand movements.